Hey everyone, Adam here doing my very first video retro review. This is not going to be a normal thing unless you like it, and then it might be a normal thing. But I really like doing the writing ones. But I really just want to do something special for these few next reviews I'm doing because they're all I'm dedicating it all to the legend of Carl Reiner. If you don't know, Carl was a prolific writer, director, actor, and he passed away on June 29th at the age of 98. And he did a lot of movies that you, as viewers out there, love, whether it is something as absurd as The Jerk or something as heartfelt but still funny like Summer School, which is what I'm going to review first. For my first video retro review honoring the late, great Carl Reiner. A couple things about Carl Reiner. He was a comedy juggernaut working with the likes of Sid Caesar and Mel Brooks, and all the way up into the 2000s with the Ocean's movies, and he was still just good as ever. He was just His presence in the entertainment community is sorely missed and will be for ages. He left a huge footprint in cinema, and that's why I've decided to do this video stuff in his name, because he was just a genius that even though he passed at the age of 98, it still feels like it was too soon. So let's start with the 1987 teen comedy Summer School, directed by Mr. Carl Reiner. Summer School, 1987, directed by Carl Reiner, starring Mark Harmon, Kirstie Alley, Dean Cameron, Courtney Thorne Smith before she was well known, and Shawnee Smith from movies like The Blob and the Saw franchise. I mentioned those because there's a very big horror influence in this movie. If you know the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know the movie, then stay tuned because I'll be talking about it. The movie focuses on Mark Harmon's character, Mr. Shoop. He's a gym teacher that has never set foot as a teacher in a classroom, but he is basically extorted into teaching remedial English as the actual English teacher, played by Carl Reiner. Wins a ton of money from scratch-off tickets and decides to quit teaching. Remember those days when you could just quit teaching? I don't even know what that means. I was just trying to reminisce about something I don't even know about. The movie takes place at a school, I believe it's called Ocean View School. It's a California school on the beach.
Oh, Mr. Shoop! At Oceanfront High.
And that is why Courtney Thorne Smith's character is in the movie, because she is obsessed with surfing. Oh, I gotta tell you, I love this film. It has passion and a plucky spirit, and the characters had integrity. All right, so that was a quote from the movie, but it doesn't mean it's not true. What made this movie different from other teen comedies of the 80s were the characters. I describe Summer School as a grounded movie disguised as a teen comedy. The characters have their own archetypes, but they aren't limited to those attributes. Yes, I know, I went all Dungeons and Dragons with that last sentence, but it fits the point. For example, like I said before, Courtney Thorne Smith is a surfer girl, but she's not all spicolly about it. She doesn't talk like a valley girl. She's just a regular person who is deep into the surfing lifestyle, and you believe it because she's just a person who likes something, and they didn't have to like push the point on her. They didn't have to push the culture on the viewer, because, well, the writer and Reiner see people as people. And another example is the jock. He's a football player who couldn't pass his tests because he spent too much time worrying about football. That is his backstory. You don't really see it that much in the movie. There's a couple scenes where he talks about football. There's a scene where he's trying to He gets Shoop to help him be a better player.
I need somebody to work out with in case I get back on the team.
But more or less, he's just a character, or he's just a guy who is a football jock. Yes, he eats and sleeps and lives football, but he doesn't think he's better than anyone. He doesn't pick on the nerdy kid, played by Invader Zim himself, Richard Horvitz. And he doesn't always think of nothing but sports. In fact, his character grows more mature as the movie continues. It's a very not deep character. I mean, it is a deeper character than your normal jock, but it's not what you would expect out of a jock character. Personally, just based on the characters alone, I think this movie should be used as an example in teaching using characters in a narrative, like in creative writing courses or screenplay writing or anything involving teaching a narrative, because they are, like I keep saying, they're grounded characters and they feel human. They don't feel like characters that were written down and then they're like, people will have to play these characters. In fact, Reiner wanted to direct the movie because of the script. He said the characters were fantastic, and he hired each one of them personally because he knew that they would take those characters and make them their own. Okay, for those of you who know me, here's the stuff you're waiting for me to talk about. There is no surprise to anyone that I am a huge horror fanatic. And I have been, as far as I can remember seeing movies. And believe it or not, Summer School is a very important movie for horror fans. At least it was for horror fans in the 80s. But Adam, how can a teen comedy about kids in summer school be an important film for horror fans? Good question, me. And the answer is two names: Chainsaw and Dave. Chainsaw and Dave are the Bill and Ted of horror. Well, not really. But can you imagine that? A Bill and Ted type movie where Chainsaw and Dave travel to different horror movies and having iconic characters? That sounds like an amazing idea. Anyway, what I mean is they are two best friends that are metaphorically, of course, attached at the hip, and they're absolute horror fanatics. In particular, the 1974 Tobey Hooper masterpiece, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They are slackers. They are teen drinkers. They give teachers a hard time. But their biggest passion is gory makeup effects, and it shows in two fantastic scenes. And I guess what makes it relatable to me, the characters of Chainsaw and Dave, were me and my best friend at, I guess, 8 or 9 years old, who was ironically also named David. They connected to us. We felt, the same way about things, especially after seeing this movie. Their obsession to gross out people with makeup effects, in the vein of Tom Savini and Rick Baker, just lit the spark in my brain that I needed to learn more. I needed to know more. So from that moment on, I'm getting some sort of weird accent. Anyway, from that moment on, I decided that I would pay more attention to makeup effects, practical gore effects, and pretty much anything non-computer related. Although I'm not against CGI effects, I'm just really impressed what you could do with foam, with latex, with a little bit of tubing, some household household ingredients, like using cocoa powder to darken blood to make it chunky and stuff, and just things that I've learned how to make a dough into wounds and stuff. It's awesome. The impact that these two characters and their antics had on horror fans was something I don't think anyone involved making the movie was prepared for. In fact, in my research, I reached out to some people who are part of the big horror scene, including Richard Horvitz, who played Alan Eakian, the nerd. He's also the voice of Invader Zim. He told me that the scene where he comes out with the buzzsaw appliance on his head, it was either not on right or it had moved through different takes and stuff. But the take they used, the final take, he comes out and he's holding it and he's in anguish, and he used his actual discomfort and not pain, but it was just discomfort and anguish in that shot, and that's the scene he used. But he also told me even if that was such a hard scene to shoot, for just comfort wise, he loved every moment of it, and that's a really cool thing that I like to hear. Okay, wrapping up, or at least trying to wrap up, I could talk about Summer School all day. I just want to say that this movie is sadly overlooked and buried these days, which is sad, like it being sadly overlooked. It's sad. A lot of sadness for such a happy movie. Well, it's a comedy. It's sad because it deals with real world issues such as teen pregnancy, dyslexia, just personal relationships between teacher and student, esteem issues, a lot of grown up adult situations in a teen comedy. But it was just so perfect the way they did it, because they didn't like over silly the characters to where it gets to the point where you're taken away from the plot lines of these characters' growths and issues and stuff that they're just trying to overcome. It also has a happy ending, but not one of those, oh yay, everything worked out in the end and everybody's happy type happy ending. I mean, it's a happy ending, but it's happy in a real, like, all of these characters, they learned and grew from everything from beginning to end. Beginning to end, it's different on this camera. It would be beginning to end. Anyway, and they grew all the way of a happy ending. So, yeah. Oh, one more thing. The score was done by Danny Elfman, which a lot of people don't know. This is like his third movie that he did. He did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then Back to School, and then Summer School. And in fact, the opening theme, Happy, is by Oingo Boingo, and as far as I can tell, it is only on the movie's soundtrack. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, because I would like to have a copy of it. It's only on the soundtrack, and right now the soundtrack's going for a lot. I can't even find it on CD. I'd have to get it on vinyl. Which people who know me know that's not a problem. I'm an old man, so I still listen to old man styles music. But I would love to have the soundtrack, whether on CD or vinyl or even tape. In my opinion, Summer School is a timeless classic. Even though it's set in the 80s, it doesn't scream, hey, it's the 80s at you. And for that, it can be enjoyed as a film about growing and learning. That's it, a growing and learning film. So, in conclusion, and paraphrase from Chainsaw and Dave, that is why I admire Summer School very, 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 very much. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, or let us know here at the Cinemadness podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos. We try to come out with one every week, maybe 2 or 3 now that we're doing video reviews. If you like what you see and you want to support us, you can support us on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Cinemadness. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all there. Cinemadness Podcast. All you have to do is type that in and you'll find it. And check out our website, cinemadnesspodcast.com, where you can find all of our information, all of our videos, all of our stuff, all of our articles. I've been writing retro reviews, so if you like this, you'll probably like the written version more, because then you don't have to see this. You don't have to hear me stumble my words. It's just easier. So If you, like I said, if you like what you see, I like what I see. I don't like what I see. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. We'll change it. And I hope to see you again. I'll see you next time I do a Carl Reiner review. The next one will probably be Summer Rental, because I have a lot to say about Summer Rental too. Not Summer Rental 2. I don't think that exists. No, it didn't. Oh well. Anyway, have a good night.